Okay, hello and welcome to my second attempt at code repositories as an interviewer. Putting this talk together second time because I actually hit stop instead of pause at one point, so I may pause and restart a few times in here because what I'm doing is going to be fairly complex. Okay, but what I want to look at in this talk is, as an interviewer, what do I look for? Why do I look at them? Okay, so let's step through here. The first part of this. Okay, so this talk has evolved from doing hundreds of coffee chats with 100 devs cohort members. Okay, it's evolved because I do review and help folks. I do interview, and there may be rare occasions when I'll look at somebody's code, and I often see the same mistakes. Okay, so let's take the next step in here and let's talk about why I would look at somebody's code repository. Okay, when I'm looking at your repo, if you're not using proper branching strategies, if you're not looking at these kind of things, it bothers me. So I want to come back to why I would get to that point. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons. You know, if I had a scenario recently where this gentleman's LinkedIn profile had a lot of one-sentence lines, including work he's done. There wasn't much meat there, which led me to go look at his resume, and the resume was okay. I did find a couple of spelling mistakes, which led me to take a look at his portfolio, which I probably wouldn't have looked at. And I'm looking at his portfolio, and there's 3 really generic projects on there. To-do app. Everybody can do those, right? I'm not saying these are going to limit you from a job, but it did take me to the next step, which was I looked at his code. And, you know, so there are many reasons why you'd want to look at code. That's only one. I had an individual recently that told me how his portfolio website was down. Whatever hosting site that he had it on wasn't up at that hour he was doing his interview. So they looked at his repository. And, you know, this is the whole reason I'm putting this thing together. Because I look for a lot of things when I'm looking at a repository. When I see just code, I'm probably going to be looking really deeply at more than just the structure and organization. So organization is like your folder organization and how things are laid out. And your structure is, what does the code look like inside that? Is it spaced well? Is it indented well? You know, are there extra blank lines all over the place? Are things sorted and organized well? Does it show that you care about the code? Do you have any unit tests? I rarely ever see them. But there are ways to get past that even in things conversationally. You can have an issue saying, hey, let's add unit tests to the project. Okay? Are you using branching? I'll show you later. It's really easy to see whether you're using branching strategies or not. And using pull requests to merge your code in. Okay? Also, I get really impressed when I see things like a project board. Project board is much like a Jira board that we use within business where you track your cards. I use the Wiki for any sketches that I've done on a project. We have a sketch for this project that we'll bring in. We're going to build a project. I look for issues, open and close. It's really easy to see if they're there. They can be task-oriented, and for your purposes, probably should be. Do you have milestones like MVP? One milestone is usually enough. Are you using labels? Okay, we'll take a look at those. And really, taking it to the next level is, do you have a CI/CD pipeline, something that uses GitHub Actions to push your code to a repository? In the case of the gentleman whose site was down, he used a local tool to push things out. He did not have a GitHub Actions doing that for him. Could be easy to miss a version. Forget to push it up there. Okay? So, talking about it, I could talk about it all day. I don't want to talk about it all day. I want to show you some stuff. Let's make a repo, okay? I may pause at times. I'm going to pause at times because we're doing a lot here, and I can make mistakes. And I had a mistake, and I had paused it, and apparently I hit the stop instead of the restart. And I now have a 43-minute halfway through the talk. I'm hoping that's not halfway through the talk. I don't know. We'll see. Okay? But this is going to take us a while to get through all of this. Okay, so let's take a look at this repo that we're going to build. Okay, so we're going to start this out at the very beginning, and I like to use a tool here called GitHub Desktop, If you're not familiar with it, don't stress on that too much. It's an easy tool to work with, and really any repository tool will work. I'm not going to use command line. I can do that. I don't want to be here all night. Okay, so we're going to add a repository. We're going to create a new repository. I'm going to start right here from scratch. And we're going to call it React Project. Yeah, really complicated, right? Description. We'll initialize. We don't need to initialize with a README. We'll have that. I'm going to do a node. There we go. Get ignore. We're going to add an MIT license. Don't have to put those in. I put those in. I'm not going to initialize the README because the next thing we're going to do is add a React project. And the React project will add its own README, and we won't have to have complaints about that. Create the repository. Publish the repository. Now it says, hey, what's the name going to be on GitHub? Hopefully this won't do anything weird. I'm going to leave this open because you will have access to this repository when you're done. Okay, and I'll make sure on YouTube that I've got the link down there. The directions that I'm going to work off of will be there too. I'll show a couple of pages. The links to those pages will be in the directions. Okay, so let's publish this repository. Doesn't take too long. Okay, I'm going to pause because that was new. Sorry about that. In all this time, it's never done that. Of course, yeah. Let's get on my security page. Okay, so React project. I need to refresh because I just restarted this after the old one. So we've got a React project here. Okay, we created the repository. Okay, we're going to look through some of the stuff. We'll step through it in stages, and this is recorded so you can go back through. But the first thing I talked about the wiki. I want to create this first page where I'm showing something like these are the sketches for the project design. And why would I want something like this? Well, I would want something like this because I may bring somebody else into the project. And might want to show them what's going on, but at the same time, you want to show that you've actually thought about this repository, that you thought about this project. Okay, and we're going to save this. And so now you can see this is a really complex project I'm putting together. My sketches are usually much more than this, but all I want is a simple navigation. I want a home and an about. I want it to highlight when you click on them, and we'll eventually build unit tests against those and that kind of thing. But if I'm bringing something into the project, I've got these sketches that I can work off of. And it shows some care and concern and preparation and organization. Okay. Let's see. So we don't need to update the README. There is no README. We do need to, in our settings, we're going to add somebody else into the project. Okay. And if you haven't done this, when you're doing pull requests, guess what? You need to add someone else in to review your code. Okay. So this is how we add them. We add them in. Okay. Now it's pending invite, and I do actually have that account open. It's open looking at my account, but that account is, I don't want this over here. We're going to need it later. Notice the changed icon. Okay, so this is Edge Portal that I created so that I can actually do the reviews. Okay, on this one, I can come to the repositories, and we're looking for that React project. Yes, I can follow the link to it, but in here as well, we should be able to... No. Oh, okay. Hang on 1 second. I gotta find the email, which is gonna be... Yeah, that's the old one. Oh, I need to refresh. Okay. And it's not in my email. Hang on 1 second. Let me check, make sure I didn't just delete it. And there we go. So let's copy this invitation link. Paste it. Oh, and I pasted it in the wrong place because this is my own. I want it over here, right? Invitations. Hey, look at that. Accept the invite. Yay. Okay. So now I can see the repo. I'm now one of the people that can collaborate on this one. Okay. Notice it got rid of that. Okay. Oh, get rid of this glaringly bright screen to my left. There we go. Okay. And the next phase we want to do is we want to add a project. Okay. In this case, I'm going to take you to it and show you. But normally you'd add a project. And I'm going to create a new project because we don't want to use that one. So we're going to go to our profile to create a new project. Okay. These are at the profile level. And I'm going to go ahead and close this project out because that was the previous one where I broke things. We're going to create a new project. Okay. I want to create a board. And our board is going to have a name. And we're going to be really fancy. React project. Okay. It's got a name. Hey, cool stuff. Okay. And, you know, there are other things you can do in workflows and settings and that kind of stuff. But we're not going to stress on that too much. You know, we'll take a look at the settings where, you know, we can change our visibility. This is currently a private project. Well, you know, if I want people to see it and see the work I'm doing, I can make it public. Okay. I can close and delete. Don't necessarily always want to do that, but we'll make sure that's public. You know, who has access? Okay. Do you want your reviewers to have that access? Well, probably. You know, and do I make him an admin? Yeah, maybe not, but maybe at least write access. Okay. Make sure he's in there. Not a big deal. Okay. Go back out of the settings, and there's one other piece missing. We're currently showing what we're working, or what we might work on, what we are working on, and when we're finished. But we also want to have something like in review. Okay, because we're going to do pull requests, review of our code, and we're going to move this over here so they're in order. Okay, and then we need to create a couple of items, and I want to move that so it's not under my head. There we go. We're going to add these items to the to-do. And these are going to be, let me get my list, here we go, initial React project. And I'm going to say issue 1. Here we go. And we are going to create issue cards, so we'll create them in order. So issue 2 is going to be add pull request template. Issue 3 is going to be add pages, I don't want to say add navigation. And then issue, I am getting repetitive, aren't I? Add pipeline. This last two might take a while. And actually the third one is where I broke things. I'm going to try not to do that this time. And add unit tests. Now, these are all draft. We need to be able to use them. So we're going to click these 3 dots. We're going to convert to an issue, and we need to make sure it's on React dash project. And we have to do this 5 times, so I'm going to copy that and click that. And convert and paste and click. And convert and paste and click. It doesn't always go this fast. Convert and paste and click. I just happen to know what I'm doing because I got a list of things I want to do and, you know, give you the idea of what's going to happen here. Okay, so we now have work cards, and I can click on one of these and I can put some detail in on what this means. Okay, and we're going to get to that. Okay, we don't necessarily have to fill them in this time, but we're going to see these cards move through. But I mean, the first thing we're going to do here as we move through is we're going to move this in. We'll move that into progress. We'll actually do some work. Okay. Now, made one minor issue here, and that was the fact that I clicked on the project to get into it. And I need to get back to my repo as well, because we'll need that page. And we'll go back to our repositories, and thankfully it's right on top. Okay, so we have one branch. We know we have a project. We know we have something in the wiki now. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to the Issues tab. But guess what? We now have 5 issues. Cool. Okay. And let's take a look at the milestones real quick. There are no milestones. Let's create an MVP. Okay. This is the minimum viable. This is what I want to have to say this is done. Okay. And guess what? All of these are in the same project. Fine. And all of these are in the MVP milestone. And notice it'll add those on there once this is done. There we go. Okay, so we've added them all in. Labels are pretty straightforward. I'll often add things in for specific pages, but we don't have too many pages here. It's just navigation. Okay, some of the fun ones are good first issue, help wanted. You can search for those kind of labels. Okay, so what do labels do for us? Well, let's say we're looking at this add unit tests, and let's say that we're looking for help on this. Might be a good label to add. Okay, to let people know when they look at these issues. All right. Now, we're going to finish that one up before the project is finished. I just wanted you to see that. Okay. So, the next phase of what we're going to do, and it's going to pop up over here, is we're going to create a new React app. Okay. So this link in the React.js org docs is in the project. It's in the directions markdown file. So you'll be able to access that. The repository will be available to you at the end of this process. Okay. So, what we need to do now is come over to here. We have this opened up, and what we want to do is we're going to open Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to expand that out a little bit so we have access to it. Okay, I'm going to expand it way out over here. There we go. Make things a little clickable, give you enough room that you can see what's going on in the code, but I can still click these other things and find the things we need to keep moving. Okay, this is our repository. We can see React app. There's not a lot going on in here yet. Okay, we are going to open this in the integrated terminal, and notice we're on the main branch, using tooling to show me that and make life a little bit easier. And we want to do an npx create rect app. Period. Okay, so the npx, similar to npm, but it's executing a process. We're not installing something. Okay, this execution is a really handy tool, and we're installing in place. We're not creating a new folder. Okay, so we just hit the period there, and this is where I get to talk for about 45 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, something like that, while it sets up and installs everything. Okay, after this is done, we're going to run an npm start. We're going to verify that this React works. Okay, additionally, just realize we're on main. We don't want to be pushing to main. We want to be doing repositories. We want to use good business practices. This is what this whole project is about. This whole recording is about. It's give you an idea of what some of those business practices would be. But this is also a pattern that happens to me all the time. I start working on code and realize I'm in the wrong branch. Okay, before I commit, there's a lot I can do to fix that. Okay, and I want to showcase that here. So we got this working. Let's do an npm start. Let's make sure it actually works, because I've had times where I've installed some things and found out it didn't work. Most recently with Angular 14, I did install and found out I had that something was broken. It had to do with Safari, the required browser. Okay, this is up and working. Perfect. Okay, we like that it's working. That's a good thing. Okay, so we got code. It works. I'm going to stop it. Okay, so we're going to come back over here, and we need to move this to a branch, and it's really easy with this tool. So we're going to create a branch, and at this point I want to stop for a second. Okay, branching is important. Branch naming is important. We talk in code that naming is probably one of the most critical things that you do. One of the issues I often see is people will put the card number and nothing else. Well, if I'm looking for which one was related to the initial React install, this doesn't tell me much. The other side I see is people type in React, oops, let's say initial React install. The problem here is, if I'm looking for a particular card and the related code that was committed, I'm going to have a hard time figuring it out. Okay, and the more branches you get, the more complicated this gets. On this project, we're going to have about 5 branches, 6 branches, 7, maybe. But I've seen projects that have hundreds, if not thousands, of branches. Okay, proper naming to me is you have the name of the card, double dash, and some description. The description does not have to match the card exactly. It helps if the core is there. Okay, but that gives you enough to work on from both sides of the process. So I'm going to create that branch, and here's where the cool part is, because I had this on the wrong branch. I can bring my changes over to the new branch. Okay, so I'm going to switch branches. Branch gets created. We need to add a summary. Issue 1. oops, initial React installation. Yes, it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to click the button to commit, and we're going to publish the branch for the first time. Cool. And we're going to create a pull request. Now, unfortunately, it's going to create the link in the wrong browser, but we'll shift that around here real quick. I just want to copy that. And we're going to do this 5 times as we go through the project. Okay, so we're going to go up here. We're going to go right on top of this one. It doesn't matter. Okay. Issue initial React installation. One of the minor things that bothers me with GitHub is occasionally when you're doing opening a pull request. If you have multiple commits, which we only have one here, if you have multiple commits, you get the branch name. It takes the colon out, takes dashes out, things like that. It spaces things weird, but you at least get the right title that you can clean up a little bit. If you only have one commit, it goes with that commit title. Bugs me just a little bit, but it takes some time. And we always want to put something down in the comments. Always put something in the comments. We're going to show you a way to make that a form later and fill that out. But for now, installed React and watched it start. Okay, tell the people reviewing what you did. Okay, doesn't hurt, doesn't take long, easy to do. Okay, we're going to add a rule on the branching. Okay, and this is a branch name pattern, and we want to require a pull request before merging. We have to when we can require removals. I'm not going to change a whole lot of goofy things on here. Okay, what I will allow is allow forced pushes on mine. You don't necessarily have to do that. Okay, and I'm going to create, just to make this project a little bit simpler, I'm adding that in. Okay, so we now have this pull request. I'll come back to it real quick, and I have to set somebody to review it. Notice I can't do anything because there's nobody's reviewed it yet. Remember, I have that second account just for this. Okay, I'm working with 2 accounts. That's why I'm going to be bouncing between browsers. This edge funnel will be our reviewer in most cases. I will be the one writing the code in most cases. Okay, I'm not going to add any labels to this one. Projects. We do need to add our project, and we want to add our milestone. Okay, business purposes, you typically aren't going to add the project, you aren't going to add the milestone, you aren't going to add the development portions of it. Okay, I do it here because it showcases things that we do in the business. We want to track how close we are to the MVP. We want to track the card in relation to the repository and the commit, and some Jira, if they're set up right, will show where your PRs are on the cards. Okay, so we do need to add the card onto this one. Okay, and the other thing we need to show is our React project. We can change our status. So in this case, we're in review. Okay, so a lot of things we've changed there. Now it needs a review. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. So over on our other account, this is the Edge Funnel account. I'm going to come to pull requests, and that should show us there's one pull request. Looks really similar to what we had on the other side. Okay, on the other browser. And the difference is, I'm Edge Funnel here. Okay, I can look at the code. And what we do to look at the code is don't worry about the conversations. That's to look to see if something needs changed still. But it's the file changes, okay? And the cool part here is you have these viewed checkboxes. As you check them, it minimizes it down. Now I have 18 of these, so a lot to minimize. But the nice part about that is if something gets pushed up into the pull request, after you review it and ask for changes, you come back in, and the changed and or added files will then be expanded for you to take a look at it again. Okay, there are some other things going on in here that are pretty straightforward. It doesn't always show the whole file. In this case, these are added files, so it's going to show the whole file. But you can expand the whole file. You can take a look at the whole file. There's even a way to view it all in VS Code in the browser if you want to too, and that's pretty cool. But that's way beyond the scope of the time I have here. Okay, so under review changes, if I had to suggest any changes in there, it would have opened a review, and that would get kind of grouped under this comment approve or request changes. Okay, yes, I've had reviews where I've made a comment saying, hey, maybe we should change this at some point, but I'm not going to keep the PR from going through on that one. Okay. So sometimes it's okay to let it go through. In this case, we just need to approve. Could put a comment in there, don't need to put a comment in there, and we submit the review. Now then, what happens here is it takes us back over here, and we could merge a request, because everything that's been done to merge it is allowed. But here's the thing, I'm Edge Forno. I'm not Bob Forno. Yes, I'm Bob Forno, but in this browser, I'm Edge Forno. Okay? Bob Forno wrote the code. I don't want to merge his code. I want to let him merge his code. It's a really cool thing, and it's a lot of fun to push your code in and know you accomplished something. Let those folks do that. Okay, so I'm back on the Bob Forno account. Bob Forno account. Okay, so I'm going to merge. I'm going to confirm the merge. Okay, that code's now merged in. It's in. I have no open pull requests. Okay. Notice our issues went down to 4. The first one's gone. Okay, let's take a look at our project real quick. Notice they both moved closed. Okay. So we want to add our pull request template next. Okay, remember I talked about how when you open that pull request, you get a chance to make some comments on it. And there's a template for that makes life really easy, and I've got a quick version of that. So what we want to do is we want to open a new branch, because we want to do this right. And to really do it right, let's go back to main, and let's fetch, because we merged. We need to pull that code down. Okay. We'll create our new branch now from the main branch, and we're going to call it issue 2. Add PR template. And we're going to create the branch. Okay, we publish a branch. Doesn't matter if we publish a branch or not, but here's the thing. We need to add some code. We need to work on some code. So what we need to do here is we need to tell GitHub a way to fill in that template, that comment space that we had when we first opened the PR, and I'll show it here in a second because it'll be empty this time until this code gets through. We need to tell GitHub that this is there, and we do that with this GitHub folder. And I'm just going to copy this straight over. There's a pull request template workdown file. In this particular case, this is our template. Type of change, has it been tested, checklist. These vary from company to company somewhat, but it's always roughly the same. And I'll show you a little bit about how we manage that. Okay, and let's make sure. There we go. See, our branch changed. Okay, and we've got one file in it. So we'll come back over here and notice we have the one. And we're going to say issue 2 add PR template. Nothing exciting here. And this is probably going to be a really short PR. Okay, because it's, there we go. Sorry, my directions went to the wrong place. So let me get back to where we're supposed to be. Branch 2, add the file. Okay, so we now want to commit this, push this. We need to create the pull request again, wrong place. Copy, delete, come back over here, paste. Normally it would open up to the right one, but I'm using 2 browsers, so it's throwing me off a little bit. Okay, no comment yet. There's nothing there yet because that file's in this pull request. On the next pull request, we'll see that file show up and its impact. Okay, so we're going to do like we did last time. We're going to create the pull request. Okay, we're going to add a reviewer. We're going to assign ourselves as the assignee. That's the person that wrote the code. That's the person to go back to if there's a problem. Okay. Labels. Don't need labels. Project. Well, maybe we'll do a label. Maybe we'll say that this one's an enhancement. And project. We add it to our project, and we know now with our project that we can say, hey, the status is in review. We're going to add our MVP milestone because this is part of the MVP. And we're going to attach it to that issue 2. Okay. If I come back to our project, issue 2 is over here. Notice our issue 2 branch. This is the merge request, the pull request, sorry. So we bring that card over to match. Notice when it closes, since they're linked, then they get moved over together. Okay. So come over to our second account, since we've got that PR open. And we're going to come back up here. We'll click on pull request because now we have another pull request. We'll take a look at it, and guess what? We don't have to look real hard because it's one file and it hasn't changed, right? We don't have to even minimize it. We just have to look at it and make sure it's okay. And it is, so we're going to approve. And I do have one later where we're going to run through the request changes cycle to give you an idea of what that looks like. Okay, again, I don't want to approve it. You can set these up for like, oh, we have to have 2 approvers or stuff like that, but one's fine. for most purposes. Okay, so we're going to come back over here, and since it's been approved, oh, it's not showing it up here, although it is showing it down here. I have noticed that once in a while down, it'll show it right on the bottom of it, but not at the top until you refresh. Okay, it has been approved. So guess what? We can say, hey, let's merge that in. Now the cool stuff happens with PRs at this point. Okay, again, we come over to our project over here. These should move over. As I said earlier, our issue number should change. Our pull request has been closed out. In our code, we can now see that the GitHub folder's there that we brought in. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to add pages. This is kind of where things get really interesting. Okay, so we're going to add some code into our project. And now, I'll admit, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to do some copy-paste stuff here. Okay, we're going to make it work pretty quick. And we're going to put something in that we have to comment about to make it somewhat broken. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is there are two files we have to work with React, the source folder and the public folder, and apparently I opened the build folder. I don't want that one. I want the public folder because I need the index.html file. I want to make sure that one gets replaced. And yes, I'm going to click replace. I'm cheating. It's okay. Live with it. I'm sorry if it offends you that I cheated. And the big thing here is we need that base href. I'm changing this. We'll have to change this demo later, and you'll see why. It's going to break a couple of our icons for right now, and that's all right. Okay. And then I need to bring over all of everything that's in source. And I'm going to click this button a lot to replace all these. Okay. Yes, I could go in and type it, but I don't think you want to be here for 3 or 4 hours as I fix every potential problem that could come up. And I understand it's a lot of clicking, but the one time I did it without doing that, everything broke. Okay. I did notice one problem. Menu is here and not one layer under. There should have been another folder here called component, and menu should have been inside component. So something in the copy paste garbled that up. So now I'm going to do an npm start and make sure it's still working. And if it's not, I will pause and figure out why and come back. Okay. This isn't about the project. I would like the project to work, but it's not about the project. Okay, yeah, we did forget one tiny thing, right? We put in all this code for routes, but we didn't install the router. Okay, so the router is based on React Router. We're going to install version 6, okay? There's all this cool stuff, and again, the link is in the directions markdown file. So we're going to come back to our folder here, and we're going to do an npm install React Router DOM version 6. And no, I don't have to talk for like 5 minutes here because this one's really fast. Okay. Should be all we need to do to get this working. And that one I don't think we needed to pause for because I should have done that before. It's okay. You know, I want you to see that sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes even developers get things wrong. Those of us who have been doing it for years get it wrong. Oh, look at this. And it worked. It ran. Oh, there's the camera. Got it. So I'm going to click home. And look at that. Highlights home. Click about. Highlights about. And text changed. Woohoo. We have a working application. Not fancy. Really not even pretty. But it's a working application. Okay? So we have code changes. Woohoo. Yes, we have code changes. Well, we also have a running... There we go. Project. So let's turn that off. Okay? So, we have this commit with these changes that we want to push up. Okay? And this is issue 3. We finished issue 2, right? Why are we showing? Oh, yeah, I merged issue 2. So this is issue 3. Oh, what was issue 3? That was add navigation, is that right? Yep, so it's in progress. Not for all. Cool. We added navigation. And I'm going to talk about a couple things on the navigation here in a few minutes on that we did specifically. Because we are going to build a pipeline and hopefully get this working in GitHub Pages. Okay. So we're going to add this in, and we're not committing it to issue 2. We're commissioning it to adding it to issue 3. So I did that wrong again. That's okay. Watch this. So just in case it deletes into their text, I'm going to copy that real quick. And no, we don't want to bring it over. We want to create from main. Switch branch. Oh, and I said leave it on. Okay, I can make mistakes. Let's see if we can fix this. We have stash changes. Yay. So what do we want to do with our stash changes? Let's see. Let's come over to issue 3 and see if we can figure out how to get those stashed changes. I'm going to pause for a second because I really didn't mean to do it that way. Hold on. Okay. I was hoping I could pull that stash change in here, and you should be able to. Okay, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete it. Okay, delete that whole branch. That's okay. We haven't pushed it up, so it doesn't really hurt much. I'm going to come back to issue 2. I'm going to restore these stash changes. I'm going to create that issue 3, and I'm going to bring them over right this time, okay? And I did copy, so I can just paste that in, and we're going to create the branch from main, and I'm going to bring my changes over. Yeah, we can fix this. Well, okay, yeah, so there's a comment there. So we're going to commit and publish and create the pull request. And remember, it goes to the wrong place. So grab it there, close that out, come over here, paste it in, because we want Bob Fornal to merge this with him. Okay, remember it does some weird things here. There we go. Issue 3, add navigation. So notice now we have this template, right? And yeah, you can change its size if you really want to get fancy and see it all. I'm not worried about that, because what I want to do is I'll change my description, and it takes just a few seconds to do this. Okay, added navigation and verified that it works correctly, and we're going to change something so we can break something, okay? And we're going to come down, we're going to say it's a new feature. It's a new feature. Okay, yeah, we're going to come down here. Nope, we didn't unit test it. I have pulled code from the master or main or whatever and retested. Submitted code. We haven't done that yet, but I'm going to do that here real quick. No, we haven't done that. No new bugs or vulnerabilities that I know of. Existing unit tests. Yeah. All new and existing unit tests pass. We don't have any, so they're going to pass, right? We're going to create a pull request, and for right now, I'm just going to send it to myself. We'll fix all that in a second, okay? Because what I want to do is we want to put something in our code that needs fixed. Okay, so let's make it really simple. Let's see. Let's come in and look at. Let's look at component index. Okay, we have this link class. Okay, so console.log the is active, and I'm one of those developers. I'll throw a console log in all over the place as I'm working because I want to see what is active is, so I make sure that I get this to work right. And I forgot to take that out when I pushed it into my repo. This should be fixed. Yeah, not my best typing, but we're going to add it. So if we come back to our main browser and refresh, we'll now see in the file changes. Okay, now I'm looking at this as myself, the person that wrote it. I always go back and do a quick review of my code before I add people onto it. This is a pattern you should get into. And I'm looking at the app.js, that's fine. And the app test, that's fine. And the menu, that's fine. I write really good code, so clearly none of this can be broken, right? So since my code looks good to me, I'm going to come over here to the conversation and I'm going to add some people. Always take a look at your code first before you ask somebody else to look at it, because you'd be amazed how many things you'd catch by going through and doing a PR on yourself, right? Don't need a label. Do need a project. Do need to indicate our status. It's in review. And add a milestone. And need to tie it to a card. Cool, we got it tied to the card. Alright, so it's ready for review in my project. There it is, showed up in the project. I'm going to put those at the same level. Notice I can see my work moving across the board. It's a really cool thing when it moves, especially when it moves into done. It's a great feeling when it moves over there. Okay. So now we're ready for review. So let's come over here to Bob. Okay, or Edge Bob. Edge Fornal, I guess he is, not Bob. The duck. The Batman duck, right? And I'm going to come down here. Look, he added and verified it worked correctly. Yay, and he checked a couple things. Okay, ooh, this should be fixed. Okay, no big deal. I'm going to come over here and look at the files, right? We looked at those files as Bob, and now we're looking at them as Batman Duck Bob. And I'm looking through, and I'm going to be a little more careful than I was last time, because, you know, I want to make sure Bob's writing good code. I said, oh, look, should remove this console log readability. And I usually put something in as to why. You know, I'm trying to teach people, they're trying to teach me, right? And I put the ticks around it because that's a markdown thing. If you want to preview, see what it's going to look like, it puts the in a code setup. And I'm going to start a review. Notice that's right in there, right in line. Here's the thing, I've just started the review. I haven't finished it yet. If I came over here to look at this, at this point, nothing's changed. The last thing that happened was we linked to that issue. Okay? Nothing's changed because I haven't finished the review yet. Okay? And then I go through and I'm looking at code and I'm being very, very careful about reviewing Bob's code. And I say, hey, I want to request a change. It's a minor thing. And I'm going to submit the review. Okay? Notice it's a minor thing. You don't have to put that up there. Okay? Put something in, tell them what to fix. Okay? Notice we're blocked. There's a change requested. Notice it's really clear that there's a change requested. Okay? So I'm going to come back over here, and at some point down the road, Batman Duck Bob is going to contact me, Bob, and say, hey, I need you to re-review that, or I come out here and refresh and see, oh, look, he said something on it. And I'm going to come down here and look and say, oh, it's a minor thing. Oh, in link class, I got console log. Oh, alright, let me come back here and look at my code. And, oh, yeah, I did remember. Did forget to take that out. Save. Come over here. Fixed the thing. Commit, push. Now, I don't have to do anything else at this point. I could. Okay, what if I really want to be nice, what I'll do is I'll come back here and I'll click that button to tell them, hey, re-review it. I made changes. Okay? So at some point, he's going to come back, and emails go back and forth when you click these things too. It tells you, hey, Bob's asked you to re-review. So I come over here, and since I had closed those things before, look, this one changed since the last time you viewed it. Ooh, cool. Hey, look, that's where my comment was. Alright, that looks really good, right? That's what we want. Let's approve it. Submit the review. Oh, I don't want to merge his pull request. Almost did it. Almost did it. Let's come down here. Notice that one didn't say checked, but come down here and, hey, change approved. Okay? But I also have this resolve conversation. Either party can resolve the conversation. Okay? I could have come in here, or should have come in here and said, fixed this thing. No problem. Batman Duck. Comment. Resolve. Hey, it's resolved. It's outdated. We can show it, but it's done. Okay? So now I can merge, and now I can merge, and now my code is all merged and pretty and ready to go. We're going to look at our project. We only got one thing left. We need to add a pipeline. Oh, yeah, it took a little while. We got there. We need to add that pipeline. So let's move this over. Oh, two things left. We have pipeline and unit tests. Yes, good thing we have cards, and I'm thinking about what I'm doing. Right? So our issue number is dropping down. We've looked at our project. We're going to work on pipeline, then unit tests. Okay? So, let's see. Make sure I'm following my notes. Merge issue 3, second account merge. Alright, so pipeline. And we're going to come over here. Let's do it right this time. We're going to go to main. I'm going to fetch. It's probably going to tell me I have to pull a few things, right? We're creating our new branch, and this one's issue 4. It's not always in order, okay? I just happen to know that next card we're working on is issue 4, which is pipeline. Okay, and there are a couple things we have to do for the pipeline to make sure it's going to work, and we'll talk about that, okay? So, pipeline. Create the branch. Publish branch. Alright, so first thing we have to do is we need what's called a YAML file. So in our GitHub folder, we need a workflows folder. And inside that we need our build and deploy YAML file. Okay, I have just copied these files for ages, so I'm not going to say I'm any expert on build and deploy. Okay, but there are a couple things to look at. First thing is, what's your main master branch called? Well, our main master branch is main. Okay, well that's right, main. Okay. And we come down here, it runs on Ubuntu, it's going to check out our code, it's going to set up node 18. It's going to, what are we doing in here? I don't know. We're going to build. We're going to do an npm install and an npm run build. And then we're going to push the build folder into GitHub Pages. We're using this action from pcyrus. Okay. We need to verify what directory it's going to build to. Not hard to do. npm run build. Okay. It should be the build folder, but we want to verify. Look, it's the build folder. There's all our build files. Well, some of our build files. Oh, it's still building. There we go. Now it's built. There's all of our build files. Okay. So that goes into the GH pages folder. Okay. So we want to verify that. Okay. Now, in the package.json, we have a correction we have to do there that makes all of this work. And I've just kind of learned over time with React, this is how you do it. Okay. And I usually put it under private just so it's up near the top. And you have to have the full name of the repository. So github.com Bob4 React project. Not demo. React project. Okay. Now we're going to need that React project for a second because we've got one other thing we've got to fix. We're going to save that. We need to check our index.html in our public folder because that goes into the build eventually. Remember I told you that demo had to be fixed? Yeah, it has to be. Paste, not Control B. There we go. So React project for the fav icon, for the images, that kind of stuff. So our icon comes out right when it's on the GitHub pages. Just little things that I've learned, okay? Because it's looking at the root. So the root for the GitHub pages is going to be bob-4 githubpages.io / the name of the project, which is React project. If we don't have that on there, can't find the images, okay? There are other ways to do it. This is what I've found works. We have to make sure that base href is in there. We have to make sure that piece is in the package.json. We checked our folder. So now we have code that should work in GitHub pages. Okay. We're on the right branch. Right, we're on the pipeline branch. Just a couple of minor changes. Package and, index is not saved. Helps if we save it, because then it shows up here, right? So 3 files: GitHub workflows, build and deploy, public index, and package.json. Okay, I'm verifying that against my notes that I have over here. Okay. All right. So this is issue 4, pipeline. Commit, push. Pull request into the wrong browser, wrong account, close it out, come back over here, and paste. Cool. Pipeline. It is a new feature. Added stuff to make the pipeline work. Hopefully. Period. Okay. Now here's more we have to do, but it's on GitHub itself. We'll talk about that. Okay. Pulled code. No new bugs. Node existing. There we go. Create pull request. Again, assign to myself. Check my files. Okay. I had a build and deploy. And this build is main. Those are the 2 big ones you got to check in there. Okay. Package.json. I had to add that path. Make sure it's yours, not mine. Okay, please. We replaced demo, wherever it was. We made sure that href was in there, which was in there previously. If it's not in on yours, make sure it's there. That base href will break a lot of things with GitHub Pages. Okay, just telling you from experience. It's good to have that one in there. And oh, I don't want to review my own. I just checked my own. I want to tell somebody else to review it. Yes, these are a lot of steps, and it takes time. But guess what it shows? It shows what the business does. It shows that you understand how you should work code through a pipeline. Okay? Code through the process. This is very similar to the way businesses would work a process. So if they say, hey, do you have experience with it? And you're doing it in your repos, you've got a way to showcase it. If you do these steps and you're somewhat religious about getting all the steps done, what you're doing is you've got the ability to talk about it. So if they ask questions, you've seen enough of it. Okay, so let's go back over to the Batman Duck one. Oh, and we're not on issue 3 because that one's closed. We're on issue 4. That's the pipeline. And we're going to do a really fast review because you guys have seen reviews to this point. Okay, so we're going to review, we're going to approve, we're going to submit. And we haven't looked at actions yet, but we will look at actions. Okay, I'm not going to merge his in. I'm going to come over here and scroll to the bottom and look it's approved so I can merge it in. Good. The pipeline stuff's merged in. So we have these GitHub actions, but they're not doing anything yet. Okay? This one triggered a build. Interesting. Just if we added it. So it's on push to the main branch. It's doing a build and deploy. So it's checking out our code. It's setting up our cache. It's actually doing a build process here. It's going to deploy. And it's going to clean itself up. The cache gets set, so it does shorten your npm install time. So if the npm install is based on the same package.json file, it's really fast at that point. It just has to move the cached files back in. So this is essentially doing all of our build for us very, very quickly. Clean up. And post checkout and done. Okay. And we come back and look at our actions. We should see that that's completed, but nothing else triggered. There's something else that has to happen here. Okay. This should have created, we'll check this, a new branch for us. Okay. And this branch, if we look at all branches, is called GitHub Pages. This is powerful. GitHub Pages as a branch. If we were to look at that real quick, this is what's in our build folder. Notice static and the robots, right? So if we look here, that looks really familiar, doesn't it? So that branch is the root of our build folder that can be used by GitHub Pages to display, but we have to tell it to use it in our settings. Okay, so we come into pages. I know what this is. I don't know why I'm looking it up. I just want to make sure I'm at the right step. Deploy from a branch. We tell it which branch. We want to deploy it from GitHub Pages, the root of GitHub Pages, and if you could, Angular does a dist folder with the name of the project, so you can change which folder inside that for here. And we save. Okay, this is going to do all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, designed to host your personal organization project pages from a GitHub repository. Okay, custom domain that you could add in. We can enforce HTTPS. We're going to do that. That's fine. Okay, and we'll go back and look at actions, see if anything happened. Hey, look, this little bot kicked off saying, "Hey, you got a a GH Pages branch that's different. We need to deploy it." And typically within about 35 to 45 seconds, this completes the deployment. Okay, so it's going to turn green eventually, and if we're really, really lucky, our GitHub page works. Okay, if we're not lucky, it's broken, but I'll pause and fix it if that's the case. Okay, but here's the thing: I want to come back to our main. I clicked on code. Okay, we now have this environment that wasn't there before, and if I come look at that GitHub Pages, okay, these are all my deployments. We only have one, but I can view it. Look at that, it worked. Up for an old GitHub React project. If I click home, watch what happens. See the pound sign? The hashtag? Okay. That is because to be able to get these to work in React, in our project, in our navigation, in our routes, we have to use hash router. Okay? The normal does not tell you much of anything about hash router. Hash router simply says, I know that there's going to be a folder somewhere after the main domain name. Because there's a folder after the main domain name, I want to use the hash. And the hash allows it to treat it as if what's after is abstracted some way so that everything will work right. So you can get in and about in a home and things can work. Okay, so here's part of my thought process. If you have a project that hosts your portfolio, and your portfolio is on, I don't care what website it's on, but it's also hosted here. If that website's down and GitHub's up, you've got a way to still showcase your portfolio even though it's on a separate site. Okay? And this showcases a lot of what you're able to do. Okay, so we're not quite done yet. We want to have unit tests, right? So let's get rid of the React app. We know the React works. I know the React works. I want to keep it working. Okay? And if you haven't done unit tests before, this can be probably the most painful part of the process. So I'm going to move some files over. Let's take a quick look at what we brought over. Make sure I brought everything over I should. I might have brought the unit tests over, so we might be shorting that one. And oh, look, there's an app test. And yes, I did bring the tests over. I didn't mean to bring all of that over. I apologize. They're already in the project, so we'll change something so we can push it through. It's just so we can show that we added unit tests. Okay, so what am I doing here? I want to show the unit tests. I want to talk about your unit tests, okay? So we're testing menus. This could have gone under menu. But what am I doing? I'm rendering the app. Okay, notice the app has the full navigation. Okay, it has the menu getting spun up. Okay, so in our test, we're spinning up the app. We're testing, we're getting the ID home. Okay, and if we dig in our code, we can find that test ID home. We want to check to see that it's in the document, that it has the text content home. We want to click on it. So here we grab the container when we render app. We get the link element for home. Guess what? We act. We click it. Remember when we first loaded it, it looked the same, and then I clicked it and it turned green, right? So I get the test, the home wrapper. I check to see that it's active. Does it have the class active? Okay, so if we look at our home. Oh, we don't want to look at our home page. We want to look at home in the menu. We want to open this as side so we can see both, side by side. We have this link class that's generated. It sends back active if it is active. It sends back nothing if it's not. So you should get item, navlink, and active. Okay? And that's what we're testing for here. So I'm spinning it up. I'm testing each of them, that they exist and that they can display the content correctly when they're clicked on. Is this an expansive, all-encompassing unit test? No. Okay? This is enough to show you that I care enough to put some unit tests in. Okay? And we made a mistake. Let's leave it at that. Okay? Let's come back in here to our pages, and we'll come into our issues. And I'm going to go into my issue here, and I'm going to say resolved in a previous, which we did, previous, there we go, here. And I don't want to close it with the comment yet, because what I want to do is link it to which one we had, and that wasn't the initial, wasn't adding the pull request. I think we brought it in when we added the navigation, so we accidentally brought it in there. Okay, that was my fault, but you know, it happens. So I can close this with the comment. Okay, so that issue is now closed. We indicated that it was why it was closed. So a lot of times, you know, on our cards at work, we'll close something for another reason when we indicate the reason on the card. Okay, I don't normally do it on the issue, but we treat these kind of like our cards. So if we look at our, not our project there, if we look at our board, that now moved to close. So everything's in close now. So I'm going to close out that and come back over here And so, how do I look at this? Okay, we're going to do a little wrap up here. We're right on an hour, so this is really cool. This is about where I wanted to be. Okay, so what do I look for? Well, first thing I see as a developer is you've got this GitHub folder. And now I know you may have a template, you may have workflows. This is cool stuff on a project, especially for somebody that's looking to come on to work with me, right? You know, there's not a lot of exciting stuff over here. This is pretty generic, and, you know, you can clean that up and make it pretty. Ooh, I can see GitHub pages, which means your workflow probably is hosted somewhere, and I can see that really quick in 2 clicks, right? You saw me do that earlier. What else can I see? 6 branches. Ooh, you're doing branching. Not hard to click in there and see you named things. You're doing card naming conventions, clean, good naming conventions, right? If I click on the Issues tab, you have 5 of them that are closed. I can click that and see them, right? I can click and follow and see conversations. On the pull request side, I can see the 4 are closed. I can go see those too. I could even see the files related as they came up. Comments on the PRs as they came through. I can look at the milestones. I can look at the labels, right? On the pull requests, we can see those. Oh, it's highlighting issues even though I'm on pull request. That's weird. There we go. Sorry. Actions. I can see actions that worked. That deployed something. I can go see that it was deployed, right? Wow, it is doing weird things there. Okay. On projects. Where did our project go? Did we not link our project? I thought we did link our project. Oh, we'll add the project in. I thought we did. I guess we didn't. That's okay. Let's refresh the page and make sure we did. Okay. I got a project that I can go to. As long as you set that project public. Okay? You don't have to have the projects public. You know, having seen all that, I'd probably go look at the wiki. And then I can see, ooh, look, we had some really pretty fancy drawings here, right? Okay, so a lot of cool stuff going on. So I'm going to close some of these side things down here real quick. Okay, because we don't need those at this point. Because we've got a project working. And I'm going to include that directions file that I've been working on in the project at some point. Okay, I'll add that in probably after the recording. Okay, so let's come back to our slide deck. And what do I look for? You saw it. You saw code. You saw that it was structured. You saw that it was organized. At least I hope you saw that. If you didn't, rewind a little bit. Okay? Any unit tests. I had a card on unit tests. I've got unit tests. For this, there are only really 2 things going on, so it is a fairly good test of that code. Okay? They're not the best unit tests, but they are unit tests. It shows that I care somewhat. Okay? Branching strategies. You can see that I was branching, that I was using pull requests to merge things in. There's a project board. There's wikis that show your designs, issues that show your tasks. We've got an MVP milestone in what I built here. May or may not have used labels, but clearly on this project we used CI/CD to set up our GitHub pages. Okay. So, all of these things show a passion for code and quality. Care and concern that a solid product has been developed, proper planning has been done, and that you're using business patterns that teams out there use every day. Teams that I work on use every day. Okay? This is as good as showcasing any code. Absolutely as good as showcasing any code. Now, just a hair over an hour. I hope you got something out of this. Like I said, the directions will be in the repo, and I will put a link to the repo on with the talk on YouTube. Okay? Again, Bob Fornell. I'm out there. I'll have my information on LinkedIn and Twitter and that kind of stuff out there as well for you to access on this. I hope you liked the talk. I hope it was helpful, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.